In the list of comedians being more famous for their dating lives than their jokes, Pete Davidson tops the list. No one else comes even close, because he's literally the only one who's on the list. If you think this video is about his dating life or dissecting what Pete Davidson does to date the way out of his league girls he dates, you can watch the 2010 movie She's Out of My League on Prime Video India, which is great too. But if you want to watch the dramatization of a personal chapter in Pete Davidson's life and experience his profoundly funny writing talent, which makes you wonder why isn't he in the news for this more than the girls he's dating, then you should check out The King of Staten Island. Usually, coming-of-age stories in Hollywood and Bollywood have a particular set of demographic. They ranges from adolescence to adulthood. And usually, in many countries outside India, the moment you graduate high school, you're supposed to leave your hometown, go to college, go find a job, become a part of the rat race going in circles. But The King of Staten Island subverts this trope and tradition with co-writer Pete Davidson's protagonist Scott, who is just not ready to move on to all those grown-up things. He's 24 and his life is nowhere near to adulthood. His college-ready 18-year-old sister has got her shit figured out far better than him. Scott thinks he's doing a favor to his widowed single mother by staying with her in his 20s, but she literally wants him to go out and be independent. Something that he doesn't understand until she starts dating a fireman just like his father. And just like Scott, Pete Davidson's father also died in a fire. In the movie, Scott's father is a local legend who died in a hotel fire, but in reality, Pete Davidson's father died in the 9/11 attacks. In the movie, Scott is constantly perceived as a bad influence, but he's very aware of that. Just like many of us, Scott's struggling with self-esteem issues, with self-doubt of what he wants to do in life. He's his biggest critic. He thinks people should not be around him. It's normal for a 17-year-old to think that, but it's probably a little too late for a fully grown adult smoking pot all the time, practicing his tattoo art on people including children, while lying about how he feels about his father, but not really admitting to his friends or girlfriend about it despite being on antidepressants. This is full drama material, but in a Judd Apatow film, this is also what sparks a lot of dark, real, relatable humor. Judd Apatow is always known for empowering comedians all through his career, whether it's Seth Rogen, to Paul Rudd, to Lena Dunham, to Amy Schumer, or his most recent outing with Billy Eichner. This is why most of the film's casting includes funny people. Bill Burr, who's best known for his stand-up and his Netflix animated comedy F is for Family, steps into the role of the stepfather. Casting comedians in a personal story of a comedian makes the film essentially a drama with punchlines. Scott being the late bloomer, so to speak, and being lazy, devoid of any responsibility at his mother's house, comfortable in his hometown of Staten Island, which is essentially like his kingdom, needs to accept and acknowledge the fact that he's not a child who lost his father anymore. He has to grow up, which is what is at the core of all coming-of-age films. It follows the same path while continuing to subvert more tropes of stepfather and son, of siblings where the younger one is more of an adult than the older one, and of mother and son too, where the mother is done being protective of her child. And Marissa Tomei absolutely nails that part. She's someone who's actually ready to move on and move in with her newfound love interest, but she can't because of her son. After sending her younger one to college, she feels like she's done playing a doting mother and widow. She wants her new chapter to begin before it's too late, and she will not back down even if it means using tough love on her son. Much like Pete Davidson before starting his SNL career, Scott is pretty much running away from confronting the world his father belonged to. But fate leads him to a full circle by landing him straight in the middle of it. As a grieving son of a father, it's natural to think that your father or any of your parents was the most perfect person who ever existed. But the moment you learn that they weren't perfect, they were just human like you with flaws, it kind of relieves you. You feel a huge burden is lifted from your shoulders, which allows you to accept who you are as an individual and not as the son or daughter of a parent who was a saint. This is what is at the core of this movie. So to sum up, The King of Staten Island has interesting casting choices, darkly funny portrayal of trauma and grief, it constantly subverts tropes, a fresh coming-of-age story, but at the same time, it's a poignant drama with punchlines, with a very relatable protagonist, and an insightful takeaway. Lastly, Judd Apatow, who gives another comedian, Pete Davidson, a platform to voice his own personal story. It's like a very entertaining therapy session. You can catch The King of Staten Island on Netflix. And if you can't get enough of Pete Davidson being a different shade of Pete Davidson in a different coming-of-age movie, then check out Big Time Adolescence 2. Moral of the story: Maybe we should just give attention to Pete Davidson's career more than his dating life.
Sorry, wrong picture.